So Jay, Volkanovski not defended, actually captured the featherweight title against Diego Lopes. It was vacated by Ilia Topuria, who's since moved up to lightweight. And so Jay, I want to ask you, right, because he's been champion before, up until he was knocked out by the same Ilia Topuria who captured that crown. He went to fight for the vacant belt. He beats Diego Lopes via unanimous decision. He gets the belt. If you looked at his previous reign, right, when he defended against the Max Holloways, the Brian Ortegas and stuff, and what he looks like now as champion, do you think he goes on another run, or do you think it might not be the same, considering who else is left?
I don't know. I don't know because in winning that fight over the weekend, he became the first male fighter to win a title, or to win a title for the second time, below the welterweight division. And so he's in uncharted waters in terms of his age profile and the success that he's garnered. So considering that he held the title from 2019 to 2014, that's a 5-year period. I don't think he has another 5 years because that takes him into his 40s. But I don't think it matters much, actually, in terms of how much more success he's going to have. Because if we recall, coming into this fight, he was being written off by a lot of people, and that's because of his last two fights, right? Being knocked out by Topuria and being knocked out by Makachev as well. And the idea was that maybe his best is behind him, that maybe he's beyond his sell-by date. So when not just like people who might be considered casuals think that, but even the aficionados of UFC or mixed martial arts thought that maybe he is past his prime, to then come back and to fight the way that he did. Because in my assessment of the fight, I was very impressed with him. Him coming out at the end saying that at some point he lost his sight, but continued. It was blurry and then he came back. But how he controlled that fight, being the smaller man with his jab and keeping the distance between himself and his opponent, was very impressive for me. And how when he did get close, he managed to get the combinations, even though he absolutely failed miserably with his attempts at the takedown, because he tried, but it didn't come off for him.
Mm-hmm.
But him getting the unanimous victory was deserved, because it for me, except maybe the second round, and because of the late flurry where Lopez got managed to catch him and he rocked him a bit. It was all him. It was all Volkanovski in that fight, and it's very impressive to be able to come back from being, especially when you get knocked out at those latter stages of your fighting career. You're never quite the same. So to be able to overcome that and to win the belt, for me, in and of itself, is an awesome achievement. I don't expect him, as I'm saying, to go on a similar run as his first time holding the belt, because again, that's a half a decade, which takes him into his 40s. But I do think when I look at the division, he'll have some success, maybe for the next year or two. But regardless of what he does from here, I think is absolutely cemented as a truly brilliant fighter.
Yeah, I think he'll be a Hall of Famer, and not too long he'll be inducted. I think Volk is a great fighter, and if you look at that fight against Diego Lopes, he fought someone who had no quit in him, because Lopez was able to eat up all those shots and still stand in front of him. Because I saw him landing a left hook, a right jab, and Diego Lopes was standing right in front of him, not staggered, not moving, standing right in front of him. So it was a very tough opponent, and as you said, with the failed takedowns as well. But I think, Jay, to answer my own question, obviously you cannot replicate the first time, especially because that first time was special, especially because of the roster and the names that he beat the first time round. So you'll never be able to replicate that. But what he can do, right, because he's really looking to fight yet again in August, if I'm not mistaken, he wants to have a quick turnaround and a quick fight. And if I look at the roster, he might just get close to the number of title defenses that he had prior, which I think will be special as well. It'll be special considering the age, considering the fact that he was knocked out, as you said, by Islam Makhachev and by Topuria. And because everyone suggests, I don't know how true this is, that every time you get knocked out, something in your fight game gets lost because of that, because you're never quite the same when you come back. But I think, Jay, the fact that the roster is not as good, you can't recapture that magic, because it's no longer your Holloway's, it's no longer your Yair Rodriguez. Well, right, Rodriguez is still there. Sorry, it's no longer your Korean zombies, the legends of the actual sport that Volk beat to capture that crown and to defend. So it won't be as magical, but I think if he does that, it only adds to his legend, because I think The names that are there are names that Volk can beat, and I think if he does beat any fights about 3 times a year, by the end of 2026, he could have 5 title defenses, and so I think that'll be magical. That'll be, uncharted waters because for comparison, right? John Jones has been champion for close to 500 days at this point, having only fought Cyril Gane and the fireman, Cyril Gane and the fireman. 2 title defenses the entire time. And if you think about that, that's why people are saying that he's stacking that. Dude, you're inactive, right? But if Volk is active and does as much as he does in that particular time, or rather as much as he's planned to do in that particular time span, I think he can be great even some more. But I think, Jay, you can't capture the magic of that first time, but I think he can still reign a long, long time.
Yeah, we'll see if we'll see what he's able to do, because he's proven that there's nothing you can really put past him, and if you try to do that, he's just gonna come in there and prove you wrong. As I'm saying, one of the better small men. It's always so encouraging to see small men doing truly amazing feats, particularly in pugilistic sports.